There is nothing in the world that can trouble you more than your own thoughts. True? Before my spiritual awakening, most of my life I spent continuously swinging in the thoughts about regret of the past and anxiety of the future. How about you? In this video, I will share you how to rise above your thoughts. It's not about negative or positive thinking. It's about altogether transcending your thinking. Now, truth to be told, you can't stop your thinking. Why? Because you don't think. Thinking happens to you, like how digestion happens to you, blood circulation happens to you. In the same way, 95% of your thinking happens to you. Automatic and repetitive. I'll share one powerful practice that saved and completely transformed my life after my spiritual awakening. But before that, we must go into the nature of mind and being. I'll explain that first, so be with me. Once you deeply understand these upcoming teachings, the higher power will use your mind and body for its purpose. Then your mind will create things to benefit humanity. You can call this higher power God, being, awareness, spirit, or whatever you like. So let's start. What is the true nature of your inner being? The true nature of our being is Sat Chit Anand. Sat means truth, and the eternal truth is existence. Chit is consciousness, and Ananda is bliss. So, the nature of our being is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Whenever you surrender your mind within and rest in your being, your nature is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Your mind transforms into being itself once you surrender your mind into being. It transforms into being. And when the mind goes outward, it turns into ego, because the ego is unobserved mind. Why unobserved? Because ego will identify with the 1,000 things of the world and it gets unconscious. So the ego is unobserved mind. Sat, which is existence, turns into non-existence by identifying with thoughts, emotions, and worldly objects that are temporary. Sat turns into opposite when the mind goes out. Now Chit, which is consciousness, turns into unconsciousness, that is forgetfulness of being in the form of anxiety and fear. Ananda, which is bliss, turns into suffering as we get lost in the world, reacting to people, events, and circumstances. So you see, our true nature, which is existence, consciousness, bliss, turns into non-existence, unconsciousness, and suffering once the mind turns outward and gets lost in the world. When the mind goes out, identify with 1,000 things, all this existence, consciousness, bliss turns into its opposite. You see, our mind's nature is to feel lack all the time. And to feel that lack, the mind wants pleasure and excitement. And it finds this pleasure and excitement in 3 things of the world. Which are the 3 things? The first is money. The second is relationship. The third is recognition. Money, relationship, recognition. Our ego which is unobserved mind, will never be satisfied with these three things and is always want more and more and more of them. Now, how to end this preoccupation of mind? How to end this wanting of ego? How can you end that? Very simple, very simple. Keep your mind inward. Keep your mind inward. Surrender to the being. Keeping your mind inward is the most significant way to end the mind's occupation of identifying with things. Build this practice. Build the practice to retain the mind inward. Keep your 80% of attention within yourself, in your inner chest, and 20% of outside. In this way, when you keep your 80% attention within yourself, you will realize the being, and then the universal intelligence will take over your mind-body instrument, and all your mind conditioning will be purified. All your mind conditioning will be purified. Then your mind will stay in your being without escaping outside and thinking about the world. Rest in the being. The mind consists of 5 senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. When these 5 senses come in contact with outside objects in the world, thoughts and emotions get produced. So the mind function is to produce thoughts and emotions. There is no other function of the mind. Just produce thoughts and emotions. Now retain your mind in your spiritual heart for 5 minutes when you wake up. Don't let it go outward. Just retain it in the spiritual heart. What is spiritual heart? Okay. Our spiritual heart is slightly on the right hand side of the chest here. Here. Slightly right. Like how the organ heart is on the left, spiritual heart is on the right side. And it's the center of our being. The spiritual heart differs from the physical heart and is the center of all spiritual experiences. This spiritual heart is consciousness itself. The spiritual heart is not an organ you locate physically. It is the inherent source of life itself. And one can only be aware of its real nature by being it. It cannot be reached by concentration. The spiritual heart is being, or God, or Holy Spirit. Whatever you call it, is the essence of the whole universe. Please don't try to locate the spiritual heart by focusing with your mind on the right side of the chest. Don't do it. No. The spiritual heart is beingness, awareness, and it's everywhere. It's consciousness itself. But in our body, its location is on the right hand side of our chest. So once you retain your mind in the spiritual heart for 5 minutes in the morning, the nature of mind, that is Sat Chit Anand, don't convert into its opposites. You reap the benefits of this 5 minutes for the whole day if you retain your mind in the spiritual heart. Slowly make this 5 minutes into 10 minutes and then 15 minutes. And 15 minutes is enough. When you go about worldly affairs, try to retain 80% of your attention into your spiritual heart. Here. Even 50% is beneficial. You can just rest your attention in your inner chest here. It's called keeping your mind on God while doing worldly duties. In this way, your mind conditioning will get dissolved. Your mind's disturbing dark qualities will turn into light. Unconsciousness will turn into awareness. Then being will use your mind as a powerful tool to emanate consciousness in the world and create conscious creations. Now that is called co-creating with God. Here your being, which is God itself, is using your mind to create things that benefit humanity.